If you've been eyeing off some of the hottest tech of the year, but your wallet says no, then don't fear, because I have some of the best cheap tech alternatives for you. Today, I am going to be comparing some top name products to my favorite cheaper alternatives to save you a bit of cash. If you haven't seen the show before, it's called More or Less. This is what I do all the time. And if you haven't watched it before, where you been? But thanks for joining me now. So let's get started. I got 4 categories to get into today. First up, earbuds. So you might be looking at something of the in-ear design like the AirPods Pro, or maybe something like the Sony WF-1000 XM3, both great wireless earbuds, but they're expensive at around $250 each. Ain't nobody got cash for that, so here are some of my favorite alternatives to these guys. First up, if you've watched the show before, then you would have hopefully seen my comparison of the AirPods Pro against the Amazon Echo Buds. Cost around $130 and they're pretty good. They have noise reduction technology, a lot of the similar features like tap controls, but so much cheaper. And then there are these guys, the contenders that I've previously covered, although this is the brand new version. These are the Soundcore Liberty Air 2s, and they cost around $100, so significantly cheaper than all of the buds. However, these ones do not have noise cancelling. They have a noise isolating design because they have interchangeable tips, like all of these do, so they can sit in your ear pretty comfortably, but there's no active noise cancellation. It's just blocking out that external sound just because it's sitting further in your ear. When it comes to sound quality, okay, well, there's no beating the Sonys, in my opinion, to my ears. They sound the best of all of these. However, on the cheaper end of the spectrum, I am a big fan of both of the Echo Buds and the Soundcores. They both sound fairly balanced. The Echo Buds is a little heavier on the bass on default settings. Overall, the Soundcore Liberty Air 2s are, I guess, a little bit more rounded all up if you don't want to tweak with settings. However, both of them have separate apps, so you can tweak the equalizer to get the sound just how you like it. All of these buds are water resistant, so yes, if someone does douse you in some water while you're wearing it, you should be fine. However, I wouldn't swim with them. Just a word of warning, don't do that. One of my big bugbears when it comes to volume controls on these is that none of them have them on the buds, except for these guys. Now you can actually customize the tap controls on the actual buds themselves to be a volume control. So you don't have to be reaching in with your phone. You don't have to be using your voice to change the volume. I love it. If call quality is important to you, then you'll probably want to be getting the Soundcore Liberty Airs on the cheaper end of the spectrum. I was using them outside in a loud environment, and the person on the other end thought I was just in a quiet space because they were that good at isolating my voice. The Echo Buds, on the other hand, not as great. They just sound a little bit tinny overall. But if you're not using them for calls, then I think these are a great buy. And of course, noise cancellation is such a big deal with these earbuds, so the only way that I can show you this on camera to show you how they work, noise reduction on the Echo Buds versus just a passive in-ear noise isolating design on these, I've got to pull in the reinforcements. Okay, what did we learn? Noise cancelling is best on the more expensive earbuds. The Sonys win it for my ears. However, on the cheap end of the spectrum, the noise cancelling or noise reduction award goes to the Echo Buds. Soundcore are fine, but they just don't have anything active, so you can still hear everything except your music. All of these buds will last you around 5 hours. If you want the specific numbers, here they are for your viewing pleasure. However, the Soundcore Liberty Air 2s will last almost 7 hours for continuous listening when they're in your ears. And yeah, because they don't have any active noise cancellation, of course you can extend the battery life compared to all of these others that have noise reduction or noise cancelling. But if you don't need ANC, then why not get these? When it comes to fitness trackers and smartwatches, you might be tossing up between something like the Apple Watch Series 5, maybe the Samsung Galaxy Watch Active 2. They're all great options, but they are expensive. So if you want cheaper versions of them, you're in luck. There are lots of options to choose from. Here are some of my favorites. Let's start off with the Fitbit Versa 2. Now this is kind of a hybrid smartwatch wearable. It does a lot of what the Apple Watch can do without the added health bells and whistles like your ECG and your high and low heart rate detections. If you don't need those, this is a great buy because it also works across Android and iOS, so you don't have the dilemma of, I really want an Apple Watch, but I'm on Android. It's also recently got an update that gives it a color always on display. When I first reviewed it, it only had a monochrome always on display. So now it's pretty much on par with the Apple Watch on that front, even though the Apple Watch display overall is just a little bit nicer to look at. The update has also added some other cool features like a smart wake alarm in order to wake you up at the optimal time in your sleep cycle. And the battery life on this is still incredible. You'll get 2.5 days with the always on display active, or around 5.5, even 6 days if you don't have the always on turned on. And the fitness tracking on the Versa 2 is really good as well. But if you don't quite have that much to spend, that's around $200 retail price. Then there are plenty of other cheaper alternatives. One that I have just started wearing over the past few weeks is the Amazfit GTR, and this looks pretty fancy indeed. The round watch face and bright display are really nice. It looks a lot more premium than the asking price. However, it's not perfect. There are some trade-offs to be made, such as the GPS doesn't work all that well to lock onto a signal independently, but at least it has a GPS built in. Unlike the Versa 2, which you'll still need to take your phone with on a workout if you're, say, doing an outdoor bike ride or a run to track your location. But the battery life on this is insane. I've seriously been wearing this for about 2 weeks, then I put it in the drawer to try something else, and I pulled it out again and I was like, excuse me, it's still got 18% battery life. What kind of alchemy is this? I don't understand, but if you want amazing battery life, the Amazfit GTR is another buy. But overall, my favorite Amazfit is not this one. It's actually the $80 Amazfit Bip. Yes, it doesn't look as good as this watch or the Apple Watch or the Galaxy Watch Active 2 or the Versa 2. However, the performance is really good for the price, and I just have this affection for it because the battery life is incredible. It does pretty good GPS and tracking of outdoor workouts, and it's so cheap. It's normally even cheaper than $80, and if you want to find out my full thoughts about it, you can check the comparison with the Series 4 Apple Watch right up there. But if you don't want a smartwatch at all, and you really just want a fitness tracker, then the Mi Band 4 is one of my favorites. It's cheap, it has a great battery life that lasts, it doesn't track as many fitness workouts as the rest of these watches. However, if that's not your priority and you just want notifications from your phone, you just want the time, be able to track your sleep, then just get this. It's good, it's cheap. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh yeah, and watch the episode where I compare it to the Fitbit. When you're choosing a phone, your biggest decision is iOS or Android. And don't worry, there's plenty of cheaper alternatives on both fields that are great. Okay, so let's start with iOS and the iPhone. You might be thinking, okay, I really want the iPhone 11. However, the budget doesn't quite stretch to that. I would recommend last year's iPhone XR. It's still a great buy. It does pretty much everything that you'll need unless you're a real power user or you really want that ultra wide angle camera from the back of the 11 and night mode. But one reason why you might actually want to get the iPhone 11 is slow fees. Yeah, I mean, love it or hate it, it's pretty fun. Those are really the only big differences in the camera and deep fusion. But if you're not a serious photographer, then you might not find that appealing, and I would just go for the regular XR. It's got a great camera, the screens are the same, the performance is good, and overall, it just looks and feels exactly the same. So it's kind of a no-brainer. If you don't have the budget for the 11, get the XR. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. When it comes to Android, you have so many choices, and for power users, one of my favorite picks is the Note 10 Plus. That screen, that stylus, that camera, performance, amazing. However, it's expensive. Even with some price reductions, it's still a lot of money. So if you don't need all those bells and whistles, I would highly recommend something like the OnePlus 7T. It's a really good option. The screen is gorgeous to look at. Okay, it's not as high res as the Note 10 Plus, but 90 Hz refresh rate. Like, come on, who doesn't love that? 3 cameras on the back, same as the Note 10 Plus, so you get ultra-wide, wide, telephoto. You don't get a time-of-flight camera for that depth of field information for AR scanning and 3D objects, but to be honest, I used that once on the Note 10 Plus and I never touched it again. But if you don't need that, consider the OnePlus 7T. And it's cheap, it looks pretty, it looks premium, and it's a fingerprint magnet, but I can get over that. All that being said, these are all fantastic phones and you are so spoiled for choice regardless of iOS or Android. So if you have the cash, the flagships are well worth it. But for less expensive options, these and plenty others are so worth it. When it comes to action cameras, you're probably choosing between a GoPro and everything else. And there is so much choice. However, I still think that the GoPro Hero 7 Black is worth your money. So the Hero 8 is out, it's great, the stabilization is off the charts, but it's $400. So for $330 or even less, depending on if you can find it on sale or a good deal, the Hero 7 Black is great. It offers you pretty similar stabilization, slightly better on the Hero 8 Black, but for most people, this is gonna be great. Image quality is fantastic, and it just works. So if you watched the show previously, you might have remembered that I compared the Hero 7 Black to this, the Yi Action Cam 4K Plus, and I really liked it at the time, but I've changed my mind. After having used it for a lot longer, I just don't think it's competitive compared to the Hero 7 Black or any of the other GoPro models. These are just so much better when it comes to overall image quality, how stable they are, and they just work. So I think if you want a GoPro, just stick with a GoPro, but if you can't afford the Hero 7 Black, maybe look at something like the Hero 6 Black or a white or a silver edition of the GoPros. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you have a favorite cheaper tech alternative that you want me to check out or let me know about, leave me a comment down below. And to watch more crazy tech or regular tech, just click the video links over there. See ya!